What we're gonna do at this point, I think, is do a Q&A. Anybody got any questions of the legislators? We got some brilliant folk up here, don't hold back.
Is there any way we can stall this till the Super Bowl? Get some national light on it?
Yes.
As a senior member, senior in age, senior in tenure at the General Assembly, I am concluding now my 40th year, my 40th session. I'm concluding because I'm not going to file for re-election. I'm not running again. 40 is enough. And we need to have the young people with the fire in their belly to carry it on. The Lord has blessed me to, hopefully He will bless me to see my 76th birthday on the 28th of this month. But in the 40 years that I've been there in the General Assembly, in the 40 years that I've served the people of the state of Indiana and my district through 20 primary elections and 20 general elections, 40 elections that I've gone through in that 40-year period. Every other year I would run in 2 different elections for 20 years. And so I've got some history, a sense of history of the General Assembly. One of the things that we held very close was we were not elected to represent ourselves, but to represent the ideas, represent the ideas of the people that elected us. And the way that we did that, we allowed, through the committee process, the only time that people in the public had a right to come before us and speak. Once it got out of committee, your voice was no longer able to be heard other than through your individual legislator or through protest or other things that you would do. But you, in any piece of legislation, the rules require that a bill be posted. There had to be advance notice. It was posted by the committee room. It was put on TV. It was, with the advent of the web, it was available on the web, so that you would know and have a chance to express your feelings about any piece of legislation. And generally we would do 1,500, 200, I don't know how many I did this Senate, but 1,500 pieces of legislation on an annual basis. We meet every year in the House of Representatives. You had a right to speak. That right was denied during this hearing this past, was it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. They denied the people the right to speak. They had a hearing last Friday, a joint hearing, very unusual, outside of the Constitution. You can look at the Constitution and you can not find any reference to that joint process they had. By denying a quorum, and the House of Representatives absolutely has to have 67 of the 100 members of the House present, signed in electronically before we can conduct any business. That's a quorum. Any person has a right to, any member of the House has a right to have a quorum call. They could not get a quorum. The most they got was 65. They were too short of a quorum. No bill was handed down. Bills are introduced, submitted to the clerk, given to the speaker, and when we're in session with the legitimate quorum, he hands the bill down on what we call first reading. And the bill is then assigned to a committee. And before that bill can be heard, it has to go through first reading with a legitimate quorum, be assigned to the committee, and then the committee chair, at their prerogative, can schedule or not schedule the bill. But if they schedule it, it had to be posted outside the doors. People would have to know and would have an opportunity to speak. That was denied. Each member of the House, there is a section of our rules, there's a section of the Constitution which says rights and responsibilities of members. each member has a right to offer an amendment. I serve on one committee. There are 29 standing committees of the House. Most of you serve on 3 or 4. I serve on, you've got 5. To those to whom much is given, much is given. But and he does it well. He is. That's one reason I'm not reluctant to leave because we've got people sitting around this table and people
We're
in
reluctant
this
for
state
him to leave.
that can do the job. And John Bartlett, in a short period of time, has risen to the cream rises to the top, and you've risen to the top. And on labor issues, he is our champion. But so he can represent our interests. But you have to demand. They have silenced your voice. They haven't silenced my voice, even though this is my last session. When they offer that bill, when they bring it to the floor Tuesday, I have a right to stand up and speak from the floor of the House. Your voice has been silent. Your voice has been silent in the House of Representatives on the right to work bill. The right to work for less. Remember that caveat, add that to it. The right to work for less. And you have a right to speak. Abraham Lincoln, it used to be an Indianapolis Star on their editorial page masthead. They had a statement. They took it off a few years ago when Gannett took over. But it said, and it quoted Abraham Lincoln, "Let the people know the facts, and the country will be saved." Let the people know the facts, and the country will be saved. I didn't say that. I wasn't even thought about when Abraham Lincoln said that. And I don't know under what circumstances he said that. But he said it. And it's true. And that's the essence of America. Democracy is to you govern with the consent of the governed. And when you cut off the governed, their ability to give that consent through voter ID, through other ways that they can stop you from voting and casting your vote, if you cut that off, you have damaged democracy. But I will say to you, what's that saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's up to us to stop that and support these men and women that are standing with you. My dad died, and he worked at Gad Lamp and Anderson. And he used to call General Motors Generous Motors because he was able to retire and had over 60. He retired in 1960. He retired. He would go traveling around to Florida and fishing and didn't even eat fish and all the other kind of things. But he retired with health care, with a pension that allowed him to do those things. Working men and women who worked for General Motors, who reached that retirement age and was able to enjoy those benefits. That's what this issue is about. And that's why Representative John Bartlett is our labor leader. He leads us. He gives us direction. I don't want to be the labor leader. I don't want to be the children's leader like Representative Summers. I don't want to be the legal issue leader like Senator Taylor. I don't want to be the education leader like Representative Porter. I don't want to be, this man knows more about banking and insurance than any legislator in the state. We've got a good cross-section of people that represent your interests and will represent your ideas, but we need your help. I can only call so many folks, but if you call 10 and you call 10 and you call 10 and you call 10, 10, 10, 10, that tree expands. Please make those calls.